So
yeah, when you go off the beaten path, you can go off the beaten path.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But then it's super diverse too, because there's a casino in Calvert.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is over on the beach.
Yep.
Welcome back to the Southside Blueprint, your guide for buying, selling, and investing right here in Southern Maryland. I'm Justin Tiede, and today I'm joined by Billy Rabbitt and Barbara Warner.
Thank you.
How are we doing today, guys?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah. No, thank you for coming onto the podcast today. Starting out, did you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I'm Barbara Warner. I actually live in Calvert County, District 1. I'm currently running for At-Large Commissioner. And I have lived in Calvert County most of my life. I think only 2 years that I haven't. so I just say,
that's close enough to most of your
exactly,
life.
exactly. I worked for Calvert County Government for over almost 33 years. And I retired last year and decided that I was going to run for commissioner. It actually has been a lifelong dream. I had a commissioner come into my history class in high school.
Okay.
And she was Joyce Lyons Terry's. And she was actually the first Republican woman to be voted
county commissioner.
As county commissioner. So that
Very
was
neat.
really cool.
Yeah.
And she talked about, public service and all, and it was like a spark. And then from there, I was like, I think I want to do that. And then my life just led me that way.
No, that's very nice. Yeah, it's amazing. We don't realize, like, as growing up as kids, like, there are, like, the small things, from teachers or events and stuff that really do shape your life.
It does. It really, exactly.
So I guess, you're running for county commissioner at large. I guess for the people that are watching, what exactly does mean at large mean?
Okay, so there's one commissioner for each district. So District 1, District 2, and District 3. And then there are two at large.
Okay.
The way I view it is at large represents the entire county.
Gotcha.
I mean, we all actually do, but
yeah.
These are the District 1, 2, and 3 are specific to their areas.
Sure. And so that makes up, a board of about 5 commissioners?
That's correct.
So I guess, throwing your name in the hat, wanting to represent, Calvert County, it really seems like you have an interesting background. Of course, there's, a lot of county commissioners, that are running this year, whether it's, in Calvert, Charles, St. Mary's County. But it is kind of a unique, I guess, background for you where you actually have seen the inner workings of local government, too.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So with that, I was, started in the state's attorney's office, child support, then circuit court. Then from there, procurement, and then finance, and then public safety. So I've had, a little bit of everything in there. So
kind of seen, but underneath the hood, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
No, that is because I don't really. I mean, I guess I'm thinking of through some of the county commissioners. I live in St. Mary's County, so I'm thinking, but I don't really know many that have had that background or whatever. So that is an interesting perspective of that. And you said that you worked in finance.
I did.
Yeah. So you kind of see how the county commissioners spend the money.
I did. Actually, it's funny because procurement actually was more because procurement we did all the purchase orders and all the bids and all that.
Yeah.
So that's where I saw a lot of the money going out. So.
Right. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's good. I know one of the things that Justin and I were talking about was, I guess some of the challenges that are going on in Calvert County right now. Do you want to, you talk about maybe something that you feel is, one of the big challenges?
Well, the biggest challenge in Calvert County is housing.
Sure.
Right.
Having houses for our younger generation.
Yeah.
And our seniors. So that's the biggest challenge, I think, in Calvert County. And, a lot of seniors have reached out to me and mentioned, is there some kind of way we can have a tax break for our property taxes?
Yeah.
And actually the state has a program. However, they have it set at, I think, a combined salary of $60,000.
Okay.
And that was years ago.
Sure.
And so they haven't relooked at it. And, a lot of people said, can it just be raised up to $100,000?
Right.
So I've kind of looked around trying to figure out, what we can do.
Yeah.
Now, I won't be able to do anything until I get in.
Sure.
And then we all talk about it because, of course, that's another thing. If you're putting money into a program, you got to find money to cover that.
Sure, yeah.
So that's where I think the hardest part is the housing in Calvert and trying to find affordable housing for those that need it.
Yeah.
And Calvert's kind of similar to St. Mary's in that they're in this battle of trying to, grow housing and development while also maintaining a rural character.
Correct.
So where do you see some opportunities to kind of grow housing in Calvert?
Everybody that I've spoken with, they want it to stop right now. They're because we have these apartment complexes that have gone in Prince Frederick, and Prince Frederick, the town center has just exploded, and we've got more coming in, and people are so upset about it. But this was something that was done years ago by a different board. Yeah. So, that one's going to be a tough one to find a place, because nobody wants it to grow any more than it is, because that's what people love about Calvert. Yeah. So trying to find a way to do that, that's going to take a lot of effort. That's going to take the community, the 5 commissioners that are on the board at the time. I don't really have an answer for you. I wish I did, but that's the tough part of it.
I think the biggest thing is at least my opinion, right? And what do I know? But I think it's about having conversations, right? I mean, I think you got to be open-minded, I think. And I think the biggest thing that I think is a lot of the challenge with the 3 counties, not necessarily just Calvert, but the 3 counties specifically, is that we get into a lot of mindset of like, well, this is how we've always done it. This is,
my gosh.
And I get it. And look, I live in a very rural setting, personally. So I appreciate the rural setting, and, we've got some acres and things like that. But I think it's tough, right? Because it's like everybody wants to keep the rural, feel. And I do too.
Yes.
But it's also tough because what happens then is without the new housing, or without affordable housing, or without townhouses or condos or whatever it may be, what you end up doing is it becomes very unaffordable for somebody that's starting off. But then also, too, we see it a lot where people are coming where maybe a parent moved to a different state. Maybe they moved to the Carolinas or Florida. Maybe they're getting of age, and now they want to move back to be closer to family. Well, now all of a sudden, the younger generation can't afford it. But even the older generation is having a hard time to afford housing, too. So it's like without having the conversation of how do we find affordable housing or kind of below median, income housing or whatever, you're stuck. And then we get upset that our kids move away.
I know. Yes. And I mean, everybody wants to be Southern Maryland.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. We see it all the time. People get stationed at Andrews and they move to Calvert or St. Mary's or Charles, So, I mean, it's certainly that. And you certainly get you're big for your bank, your bang for your buck. And, I know St. Mary's is doing their 2050 plan, trying to figure out, where they're going to try to encourage growth and things like that too. So, and it's tough for Calvert because Calvert is such a unique county.
We are unique. Yes, we are. We're the smallest. Yeah. So it's, Yeah.
And it feeds a lot of federal workers.
Yes.
A lot of workers going up to Annapolis, Baltimore. I mean, so it is. I mean, it's and I think for so long, Southern Maryland has been seen as like a bedroom community. But it's not even really that now. I mean, I think the bedroom community, people want to play where they live. They want to do things. They want to shop where they live and things like that. So it's tough. It's tough to have, I guess, all things.
Yes.
Calvert County is so unique, too, because they've done such a good job of preserving the rural character because it's a very unique place. When you're driving through St. Mary's or even Calvert, you're seeing stores, you're seeing houses. When you drive through Calvert County, it's just all trees.
Yes.
For a majority of the way, pretty much except for Prince Frederick.
It's Prince Frederick and Dunkirk are the town centers that you drive through. The rest of them are off the beaten path. So
when you go off the beaten path, you can go off the beaten path.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But then it's super diverse too, because there's a casino in Calvert.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is over on the beach.
Yep.
No, so, moving on. So something that's been a super hot topic lately and something you've probably, addressed in the past is the data centers and the potential for data centers.
Data centers. I haven't heard any about this.
Man, are you living under a rock, Billy? You have Facebook. You've heard of it. So
maybe once or twice.
I don't want to get too in depth with the data centers because I know it's, something that we've gone over in the past, but just kind of weighing some of the pros and cons of data centers. What are some of the pros and cons of them in your minds?
Okay, so yes, it's a hot topic, and You know, a lot of people, there's people that are for it. There's people that are against it. There are people that don't even understand it.
Sure.
And to be honest with you, I didn't even understand what a data center was. I didn't know what it did. I mean, I had heard of them, but didn't know what they actually did. Of course, now I'm finding out.
Now you're an expert.
Like, stop using AI. You know, that's what's the problem. So I'm like, oh, I didn't even know it had anything to do with it.
Right.
So you know, I've been learning along the way. You know, it depends on who you talk to, whether there's good or bad or, you know, indifferent. So right now, Calvert is in kind of a quandary. So a lot of residents are pushing for a moratorium. And then there's a group that doesn't want the moratorium. So you got to find middle ground. And I think, and I don't want anybody to come at me on this one because I'm just being honest. If this is coming to Calvert, which my gut tells me it's coming. It's a private company, private land. If they follow the rules, I don't know how it can be stopped, but I don't want to discourage anybody either because everybody has the right to have their voice heard. So my thing is these text amendments that they're trying to put in. If they put the text amendments in and they're stringent and they, you know, make sure that we're touching on what people's concerns are. I just recently mentioned if we're going to do this, we need to do it. We need to be the best of the best so that everybody follows our example.
Sure.
So I want a geothermal cooling system. And a lot of people don't know what that is, but it actually takes away some of these concerns that we have where it's not using the water source because it's kind of like antifreeze in a pipe that goes underground and then cools. And it has a lot of positives. So that would be something I would push for. So the negatives, we got to make sure, you know, people are concerned of it draining our water source, you know, getting to the aquifer. So, you know, you need to make sure that the text amendment is written exactly correct where you can't tap into the aquifers. And I think a lot of people are like, well, they're going to drill a well. Well, you can, the other issue with that is, one of the locations, they already have wells drilled. So you got to make sure you're not tapping into the existing wells. Sure. So my focus has been more of let's try to eliminate some of these concerns and put safeguards in place. Now, the positives is revenue. And a lot of people are like, well, it's not about money. Well, as we go on, we are going to need revenue. So we've got to find a way to do it. I'm not saying this is the right way to do it, but this is the option. The other thing is the two locations that are being discussed right now, I don't think that you're going to be able to view them from Route 4. Now, you might be able to, you know, view them from other areas. Sure. So the positive is, though, you're not taking out farmland.
Sure.
So, and then, you know, jobs. It's going to create a lot of jobs during the building of it.
Sure.
But after the fact, it's not going to be as many. So you're not going to have this traffic going back and forth. So it's going to cut down on the congestion of traffic versus having all these apartment complexes and houses and things because that brings in a whole lot more people.
Sure.
So those are what I deem are the positives, but I'm torn.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't want our environment destroyed by any means. But if they're coming, that's why we need to really focus on these text amendments to be sure that we are making sure these companies are following rules where our residents aren't going to be affected by it.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense.
So are the main revenue streams from the data centers the tax revenue that would be gathered? Because I know there would be the initial construction phase, but after that, like you mentioned, they're kind of low manpower operations.
Yes. So, it depends on how it's structured. So, yes, it's going to be the tax revenue. So during construction, it's going to be less, but once it's completely built, then it's going to be a large sum of money that'll be coming in. And then it depreciates. Yeah. So there is discussion about a pilot program, and that is a sore subject because people feel, well, okay, I've got to pay my tax percentage. Why don't these big companies have to do the same? But a pilot program kind of works a little bit different. And I don't think that everybody quite understands it. And, you know, you can put a pilot program in, and what it does is you can set the amount. So you're going to be guaranteed over that time frame this amount of money. So say it's $60 million. You'll get $60 million each year for that pilot. And a pilot's also used to entice people to come here. Now, I don't think we need to entice the data centers because I think they want to be here. So that would not be, but it also, and I unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly how it works, but if you get into a pilot program, there's something about it. The state taxes is different. So it's not deemed as a taxable entity. Unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly how that works, but I know that it's not taxed the same. Through the state.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, I think that's the toughest part with any of this is there's just so much that we don't know.
Yes.
And I think that's why I think everybody is just so concerned of what we don't know.
Yes.
You know, and so I think that's the thing. And I truly do appreciate, you know, Southern Maryland wants to stay as rural and the charm and, you know, stay Southern Maryland. But also, like we said earlier, it's very difficult to limit growth or to stop growth or to stop these things. And then, you know, and then people then complain about, well, the good jobs are an hour away, or an hour and a half away. And,
right.
You know, I don't want to be in the car for, you know, so it's like, it's tough. It really is. It's tough to find a balance that really appeals to everybody. So.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. So I think anytime in any type of political or community, you know, position, it's about trying to find compromise.
Yes.
You know, and trying to be transparent too. And I think that's probably some of the things that I think some of the challenges right now, I think in Calvert is just maybe there could have been more transparency of things.
Oh, absolutely could have been more transparency.
And I think that's why the community's, I guess, a little upset because maybe there's some betrayal or, you know, just that. And again, I don't.
And to be honest with you, you know, I don't know if it was intentional.
No,
I mean, we don't know because we weren't there.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
But yes, I think that, yes, it should have been handled a lot differently than it was. And we probably wouldn't have that. And if you think about it, if they had have informed us 2 years ago, the 2-year moratorium would be over now.
Right.
And we would all know.
Right. Yeah.
We can move on.
No, it's tough. And I think it's tough, you know, anytime that you have to make a decision, you know, again, you're going to appeal to some people and you're going to upset people and it's tough. And it is tough. I think it's much easier to make these kind of comments or things like that when it wasn't your decision than it is, you know, when you were actually the one that having to make the decision.
Exactly. So, and here I am, I can't let my personal feelings enter because I've got to look at the county as a whole.
For sure.
And every resident and, you know, however they feel.
Yeah.
And I can't let my personal feelings and, you know, get in the way of that.
No, for sure. And I think at the end of the day, I think for any of the commissioners, it's like you try to make the best decisions that's going to impact the community as a whole, you know, you know, that there's more good than bad, I guess, you know, and it's tough. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. And I'm sure it's definitely going to have an impact of, you know, what happens, you know, this election cycle. So
yes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
I probably went all the way around that, but I just wanted to make sure everybody understood exactly the whole all of it.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing with them is just like you did, kind of laying out like the pros and the cons and just like you said, trying to find common ground because especially, you know, when you get into office, it may be at a point where it's already done.
Exactly. So, and that's my concern, you know, as a candidate, I'm trying to be as honest as I possibly can and be realistic.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say something that I don't know. If I get elected and I get in that seat, everything changes.
Sure. Yeah.
And me working for county government for so long, I saw that. You know, a candidate would promise something.
Yeah.
Then they get in the seat and like, I couldn't promise that.
No.
And I don't want to do that because I don't know what I'm going to face when I get there.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, it's tough because a lot of it is it's easier to speak on the outside of it, but once you're inside of it, maybe there's other things that are at play or things that you know we're not privy to.
Yes.
You know? So it's a tough situation for sure. But at the end of the day, I guess it's really about trying to be as transparent, honest, open, you know, as best as possible, and trying to make the best decisions that you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And educate too. I think that's the other part.
Absolutely.
You know, so much of us we allude to our phones to get the answers to everything anymore.
I know.
ChatGPT.
Right.
What do you think about data centers, ChatGPT?
Exactly.
They're great, Justin. Thanks for asking.
Oh my God. You know, I remember going to an encyclopedia trying to find something.
That was made 20 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Exactly.
But yeah, So no, it's an interesting time that we're living in for sure, and it's interesting the topics that are hot topics today that weren't even hot topics 4 years ago. You know?
Right. I mean, and this wasn't really a hot topic a year ago.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I mean, stuff was happening that we didn't know about, but even a year ago, we didn't really realize what was happening. So.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it all just plays into the rapid growth of AI because, I mean, even 5 years ago, there was always data centers because they stored the data on the cloud.
Right.
Yeah.
But before AI, they haven't had to grow at such a rapid pace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they're becoming more of an everyday thing. But no, shifting gears. So another question I wanted to ask, if there was, a family that was going to move down and they were kind of deciding between Charles, St. Mary's, and Calvert, what's some of the benefits or some of the things you would tell them about Calvert County?
Okay. Well, Calvert County's the best. I'm just
That's
nothing
fair.
better than Calvert. No, Calvert is just a beautiful place. And Calvert County Government has done, I feel, an amazing job when it comes to our parks, and all the amenities that Calvert has. And it's just a wonderful place to be. And even with all the noise that's happening, you've got Waterfront. You can go down to Solomon's Island and just walk the boardwalk and, talk to people and say hi. And, it's that old school kind of thing.
Right.
And then you can go up to the beach and do the same thing. And then we've got hiking trails and all this natural beauty.
Yeah.
And, we're a peninsula where you got water on each side. So, I mean, I think Calvert provides the best of the best. I mean, we've got wonderful volunteer fire department. They are just the greatest. I mean, I can't even imagine spending as much time and volunteering as much time that they do. And then, we now have career EMS. I just can't say enough about them. I mean, we have the best staff possible. Calvert County Government has incredible staff. Now, they get beat up a lot, and I wish people would back off of them a little bit because they're just doing their job. Yeah. And, they're doing what they're directed to do.
Sure, exactly.
But, just everything about Calvert County, I love. The schools are great. And most of the time, that's why people come to Calvert is because of our school system. So, we got to just keep working on making sure that remains. We have the lowest crime rate in the state of Maryland. So, we got a great sheriff's office. So those are key points, I would think, for someone to come move to Calvert.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
I will say that out of the three counties that make up what we call Southern Maryland, right? Calvert does have a sense of I would say out of the three counties, Calvert does have like that sense of community where people do take a lot of pride over living in Calvert County.
yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, you do see that. I mean, of course, you see that throughout, I would say parts of Charles, parts of St. Mary's. Yeah. But I would say that as a whole in Calvert, you do get a sense of like people are very proud to live in Calvert County.
Yes. And then, we just recently, there was a tragedy that took place with a fire. And just watching the community come together. And even, like I said, even with all the noise and all this distraction and everything, and we're, there's this division, everybody still comes together when they need to come together.
For sure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's what really makes Southern Maryland great.
Yeah.
It really is.
Agreed.
Agreed. It's an interesting place. We have so many people that have stories of, they moved here from there, but they ended up landing in one of the three counties and they never left.
Yep.
So very
That's
cool
true.
stuff.
Yeah. No, I will say I am always amazed, I think, in Southern Maryland in general, when, an unfortunate circumstance happens, it's always nice to see how the community comes together. You see the GoFundMes and they're triple the amount that they were trying to raise.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of...
And I do see that in St. Mary's as well.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Nope, for sure.
So, yeah, I think that was kind of everything I had. So before we end, I'll pass it over to you. Any final words you'd like to have?
Anything that if somebody's curious, I guess, about voting for county commissioner there in Calvert, I mean, what should they know about you or what should they consider about you?
Okay. Well, like I said, I hate to say this because I don't like to boost myself, but, I feel like I'm the most qualified candidate. And even,
You're about to become a politician. You got to learn how to do that.
Exactly. That's where I struggle. Oh, my goodness. But, just the experience I have because, in procurement, I saw how money was spent. I came up with innovative ideas to kind of change things, but I got to work with all the departments. I still have strong relationships with county employees and the department heads and all, just, because of the time that I spent there. Finance, I was involved with the bond rating, the budget book, taxes, all of that kind of stuff. And then public safety, that's where I think I enjoyed the most. And actually, I was a grant writer. And in 8 years, I was able to obtain over $25 million worth of grants.
Oh, wow.
So Calvert County literally got me for free. Because it's like 9 times what I ever made, so they paid for my salary, my benefits.
Investment.
I was a good investment. So, but just having that knowledge, seeing things that most people don't see,
Yeah.
and being able to, I can go in day one and not have to be trained.
Sure.
I mean, I can go to work as soon as that oath
Yeah.
happens. I can say, okay, I'm at work.
Right.
Here I go, and I have the time where I'm going to. It's not going to be a part-time job for me.
Yeah.
It's going to be full-time, and it needs to be.
Sure.
And I don't think people understand how much is involved in it. So my question is, these other candidates, are you going to quit your job?
Right.
Because it's going to take
Yeah.
everything that you have. So I'm dedicated to being there. Staff might want me to not be there.
Sure.
But, I want to make a change. I want to fix some things that I think are broken. And, just have that knowledge that not everybody has.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think, I'm excited. I hope I get everybody's vote and, that I get elected.
Sure.
Because I will be disappointed, and I'll feel that I let everybody down that was supporting me. But it was a dream. If it doesn't happen, then I guess it wasn't meant to be. So,
Very good.
yep.
Very good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Barbara.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thanks.
All righty. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Southside Blueprint, your source for buying, selling, and investing here in Southern Maryland. We'll see you next time.